First of all, so just a little bit more about myself. Daniel already mentioned that I'm the head of ATD Global team. So I've been with ATD for more than 18 years. The best part of my job is to having an opportunity to discuss the key trends of learning and development in our field and with many people from around the world. So I'm currently joining you from at my home in Washington, D.C. So I would like to, before I start, I would like to invite you, our attendees today, to share with us where you are joining us for today's webinar and which function areas are you responsible for in your organization. So as on the screen, you may see a puzzle. This is the ATD Talent Development Framework. It shows the key function areas. The deeper red is where the key function areas of talent development, and the lighter orange is the extended area. So I would like to invite our attendee today to share with us which is function areas are you primarily involved involved in your organization. So is that training and delivery, leadership development, performance improvement, any of the areas? And I'm going to invite Daniel to help me to read out any text come in, so that since I cannot see it on my screen.
So feel free to make use of the chat, and I'll ping anyone here. I've got Nigel Lloyd. Hello, Nigel. Leadership development and training delivery. Got Ira, coming from the Philippines and currently in Taiwan and in international HRD. It's the degree. I've got Aya. Hello, Aya.
Yeah.
It's in Cairo, training, delivery, and instructional design. And boy, do we know it. Great to see you, Aya. Aruj, hello. David Rigby. Oh, hello, David. Leadership, diversity, communication. We've also got Michelle from Wisconsin. Hello, Michelle. Organizational development, leadership development, talent planning, and talent management. A lot of the pieces of the puzzle there.
Excellent. Okay, it's great. It's really great to see we have a wide range of attendees from different time zone, different geography locations, and different functions. So I hope this will be a fun, engaging session for all of you. So throughout the session, I'm going to ask questions, and I encourage you to share your thoughts on the chat. And we are not just here to learn from me or from ATD Research, but also learn from each other. So I'm going to ask you another question. So this is one. So is doctor a profession, or is a lawyer a profession? So you can just say yes or no, or not sure. Do we see some answers there?
David is given a double yes. Ira, yes. Nigel, yes. Sarah affirms.
Okay, so it's
consensus here.
Yes, right, consensus. Okay, excellent. So now the next question is trainer a profession? Do we got a more form yes, or some questionable yes?
We have many yeses, and it depends from
depends. Yeah. So I think this is a when I ask this question, then people always give some thoughts on. So compared to a lawyer, compared to a doctor, where when you go to a doctor, if he or she doesn't have a license, when you hire a lawyer, if the lawyer does not have a law degree or having a license to practice, but when you go to a trainer, if the trainer does not have a degree or license, maybe, right? So many of us probably have been the trainer like that or using trainer like that. So what is a profession? So a profession, according to the US Department of Labor, there's a definition for profession. So there are 5 essential components to profession. National organizations speak on its behalf and foster development. So there should be an association, an organization that speak on behalf of this profession. And there's a code of ethics, right? So there are ethics laws and ethics that you should follow in terms to practice, either laws or medical or training. Define body of knowledge. there should be some certain knowledge that we all follow, and you have to have a way of applying those research or knowledge to develop the field. And also you need to have a credentialing organization that sets professional standards for the field. So you don't want to just to say, well, I'm a doctor because I call myself a doctor, right? So you need to have really obtain a body of knowledge and practice and meet some standard. And there need to be some credentialing organization give you the credential to set up the standard and prove that you are a doctor or you are a lawyer. So if you're looking at those definitions as definitely compared to other profession, training or talent development is still a relatively, I would say, young profession or less rigorous profession. So, when you're looking at how to make our profession more professional, so that we have more respect and have more power, and that association playing a very important role. As you can see, out of the five components, there are two mentioned. There's need to be some association, organization stand to help advance the profession. So ATD is such an organization. In 1943, there are 15 training professionals get together to set up the standard for training and development. And fast forward, after more than 80 years, ATD is the largest nonprofit association dedicated to learning and talent development professionals. We are proud to be the thought leader of the field in the world and offer education, certification, content, membership, and events. And we're very happy to have established the partnership LEORON to extend our offers in the GCC area. It has been a great partnership. And our members are just like you, the people who work in the training field. You're either trainers, instructional designers, focus on performance consultant, or frontline managers. So talk about who we are and why it matters. Because when we try to understand the trends, there are many people talk about the trends in our field. But if it's the trends is perspective from certain vendor, you may question, what's the position and perspective. So one thing set ATD apart from many other organizations or training companies is ATD invests heavily on our research. Every year, ATD publishes 10 to 15 research reports that highlight the key trends in our field. And those are the important benchmark data for people working in our field. So today, I'm going to bring in a few key trends based on some of our latest ATD research, and I'd like to share that with you. So the first key trends I want to share with you is about the skills gap. According to the ATD's latest research we published in April 2024, about 74% organizations are currently experiencing a skills gap. So, So what is a skills gap? A skills gap in this, we have been hear about the skills gap conversation for many years. So as defined in this research, the skills gap is defined as a significant gap between an organization's current capabilities, the skill, and its skills needed to achieve its goals and meet customer demand. So basically, the skills gap is what organization need to be succeed and what they have today where they're in the workforce. So knowing that definition, I wanted to ask you, is there currently a skills gap in your organization? So we have two questions, yes and no. So Daniel, do you want to launch the polling to see whether people can do that?
Okay, we've got some results already from the poll coming in.
Okay, great.
And we're seeing to this point, everyone who's answered has answered A, that yes.
Yes, okay. Not surprising, right? So based on our research, there are 74% of organizations are experiencing skills gap, especially given how fast the economy has been changing, development and technologies. So the good news is ATD conduct this kind of skills gap research every a few years, 3-4 years. In our last research, the skills gap, it was 82% organization are showing they have skills gap. So the good news is we see the number is slightly going down to 74%. The bad news is they're still quite significant, right? That means there is a significant gap between what the organization need to be success between what they and with what they have. So let's take a little bit deeper where we are, what kind of skills gap we have in our organization. So again, I would like to invite our attendees today to share your thoughts as well. So we have all the skills gap the key skills area listed here. So maybe we're inviting the attendees to select the top 3 areas. Where do you think your organization have the skills gap? And then I'm going to review our research findings. So give everybody a few minutes. Daniel, you can read out if you see any.
Absolutely. I'm seeing Dr. Wang that this people are putting a bit more thought into this question. I see everyone working. Selecting those top 3 must be difficult.
Yeah. You need to take a moment to kind of read through this. So let's give them a few seconds.
Seeing critical thinking is looking like a winner here, but so only 3 respondents have finished thinking about it so far and selected that as one of the top areas.
Yeah.
Looking at this from LEORON side as a leading corporate training firm, the ones which stand out for me are perhaps, I'm wondering from the audience and the introduction is perhaps a bit different. Leadership and execution is executive level skills rather is coming out as another winner here. And process improvement. So critical thinking and problem solving skills, leadership and executive level skills, and then process improvement and project management skills are appearing to be the winners at this point.
Okay. I see. I see people are saying you can only select one. Sorry, I think maybe the setup. A little bit. That's okay. So you have to really pick the ones that really stand out. I think we got some good leadership, communication, creativity. Oh, now I can suddenly see the pop-up, the chat on the other screen. So, okay, that's good. Thanks for everyone for sharing. I think this is fine. I think I appreciate everybody who has been actively participating. So, according to the ATD research, and definitely, we have skills gap in most of the areas. But what the most stand out? And let's look at the first top 3 bucket. I think that's where it's going to be really showing what the key trends are. So the first area, some people actually mentioned, which is leadership and managerial skills. So this is the top area where we see organizations are experiencing skills gap. Almost 9 in 10 organizations experiencing this. Including leadership, executive skills, and managing and supervisory skills. It's not surprising that we see this as a top area where we have experiencing skills gap, because on one hand, I think with the fast development and the technology, there is a higher demand for leadership skills. Managing remote or blended workforce and leading organizations through changes. So there's a higher demand. But on the other hand, it is hard to get leaders to the classroom, right? So it's hard for them to find time, and it's hard to find really good resources to help them to close the skills gap. So according to also another ATD Research stated in this report, this is also the area where organizations spend almost 20% of their training budget to try to close this area. So sometimes, when we see, if you don't know where to spend your training budget, and it's always good to spending on the leadership and the managing, because there's always things that you can improve. And improve this area certainly can help your organization to be more advanced. So the second bucket, so the first one is leadership. Right. So the second bucket is where some people already mentioned, critical thinking, communication, interpersonal skills, creativity and innovation skills, and teamwork. And might be surprising to somebody. So soft skills has been, we've been called this as a soft skills versus like hard skills. It doesn't mean soft skills need to be soft or not important. On the contrary, with more technologies and more machines working together with human being, it is more critical for our human being to take advantage of our strengths, to be more critical, more creative, to be able to work with other people better, especially now you may be working with a blended workforce and blended learning approach, and teamwork. And those are the skills where we see organization continue experiencing very big of the gap. And the third bucket is not surprising, is the technical skills, including Daniel, you mentioned about the process management, process improvement, right? Especially with the AI and other new technologies, how we can improve our process to make the organization more efficient. And technical skills, including like IT skills, in those new like AI skills, those are technology skills. Technical skills are more like programming, coding, or related to any specific technical areas. So we see also this is the third bucket. So out of all those areas where we see the biggest skills gap existing in leadership, and the second area is the soft skills, and the third area is those technical skills. So when you are doing your learning planning for next year, so it might be helpful to look at all those skills areas and do an internal investigation to see where your organization are and how this compared to the ATD research. So knowing all those skills exist, how are we closing this? Our research showed that organizations are using a variety of formal and informal ways to address the skills gap. The good news for us who work in the learning and talent development field is, training and all the talent development approach is one of the most important one of the most important solution to help organization to close the skills gap. So, our research showed that live instructional-led virtual classroom as a number one how organizations are using the solution to close the skills gap, followed by traditional in-classroom training, blended learning approach. You have some online and offline learning and hybrid learning. That means you have different learning approaches that you're using together. Asynchronous e-learning, take some on-demand courses, LinkedIn courses, and offsite and courses at college, universities. Those are all different learning solutions that help organization to close the skills gap. We must not forget, today when we're talking about closing the skills gap, it's not just about learning. It's not just about training. So next time when you have somebody from your business division come to see, hey, we have a problem. I need you to train them to solve the problem. So your first question really need to go back to see, let's take a look and see where the problem come from. Is training the only solution for this? In many cases, not necessarily. So as our ATD research showed that organization using more other on-the-job activities, the activities beyond the traditional classroom or traditional learning platform to solve the skills gap. On-the-job coaching, mentoring, stretch assignment, rotation, apprenticeship programs. So many different ways that can help to solve the organization's skills gap. So one thing, really differentiate order taker and the business partner for learning and development professional is really when you've been asked to closing the skills gap or solving a problem, whether you go back to ask a good question. This is one of the key mindset with one of our course, like, HPI course, that you're not just taking the order to say, okay, here is the training. When people ask you, okay, I need to train them. Okay, so here's the training. Here's, how many days, and then get them to the classroom, and then your job is done. Now, your job starting with when you're recording inquiry, or even when you before you having the inquiry, how you work with a business partner to identify what's the cause of the skills gap, what's the cause of the performance gap, and using all different variety of solutions to help them to solve the solution, to solve the problem, not just providing the training as they ask. So here's that is the first area that I wanted to share with you is what as organization wise, we see there is a wider skills gap and existing in different areas in leadership, in soft skills, in technology. So if your organization also experiencing the similar skills gap, and you know that you are not alone. So now, next, let's move on to the second key trends where we see, and we talk about, in learning is a really important way of closing the skills gap. And definitely when we're looking at the closing the skills gap, the different ways, we see there is like online learning, blended learning, and all different technologies are being used. So definitely, I would say technology in learning is one of the biggest trends where we see that the organization that has been impacting our daily life and also impacting our learning. According to ATD Research, and as traditionally when we talk about learning, training, this is what we see, right? In the classroom, there's a teacher, and there's a students. So since pandemic, we have been seeing there is a dramatic change of the learning deliveries. During the pandemic, everybody jumped onto the online learning, and after the pandemic, we see there's a big return to the in-person learning. According to the ATD Research State Industry Report, we see 70% organization conducting less than 25% of learning through traditional instructor-led learning. So that means majority of organization, the traditional classroom is not their major way of delivering learning anymore. But I understand this might be different from different region, where we see in the GCC area where ATD courses, a lot of our courses still deliver in person, which is great. And in some, like in US, where we see maybe more than 50% of our learning is delivered in the online through different technologies. And according to our state industry report, when we talk about learning technology use, what are the technologies being using and what the percentage? Right, so this is maybe give you a good sense. About 50% organization are using podcasts and video, and this is becoming more and more popular, especially using the AI and other new technologies make the podcast production and video production much cheaper and quicker. So we see the continued increase of this. And actually ATD just launched 2 new training program on how to creating videos and editing videos for your training purpose. You can do many of things on your phone nowadays, instead of investing heavily on commercial equipment and the setting. In the second area, we will see a lot of is simulation, scenario-based learning, and micro-learning, right? So small dosage of learning that can be done through social platform or through your learning platform, and AI application and games and AR, VR. So when we talk about learning technology, this is one way of looking at it. All the different technologies has been widely used in organization. Definitely when we talk about technology, the biggest trends where we're seeing is, since last year started, is the AI. And many people talking about this year is the AI, the year of AI. So this year, when we had our annual conference in New Orleans this year, we have about 10,000 people from around the world join ATD conference every year. And this year, we also have one of the largest exhibition for our L&D field. So this year we have about 300 exhibitors, and one of 3, so over 100 exhibitors labeled them as AI solution provider, which is the first time we see that as this category grows so big. And when we get to the expo, we saw, well, that's not true. Actually, everybody is talking about AI solution. So it's almost like all the exhibitors are having some sort of AI solutions. So, and there are at the ATD conference, we also have 20 to 30 sessions, just really focusing on how AI is being utilized for talent development profession. So now I want to ask you, what's the current stage of AI usage in training and development or talent development in your organization? So this is just for in not just general use, right? If you're using AI for technology field, for marketing, for sales, now this is just for how you are using this for training and development, talent development. So A, we don't use it. B, we just begin to explore. C, we're experimenting with it. We already did a little bit. D, we have a strategy and have allocated resources to AI.
Just commenting on the what's coming in now, Dr. Wang, that there seems to be a large group who are not using AI at all in this context, and others who have proceeded immediately into experimentation, skipping the exploration step. So A and C seem to be the hot answers here.
Okay, good. It's not surprising. So ATD, as our thought leader in our field, has been monitoring the AI trends even before it started to be a big thing. So in 2022, we actually published our first AI research, and I was a part of the team who launched this with our sponsor, UMU. And in 2023, this year, we conducted our second research at the end of 2023. So this report was actually released at this year in May this year. And we just finished our third report data collection, and the new AI research will be released at the end of this year. So if you are an ATD member, you can download those research I think this is one actually open for everybody. You can download this for free on the ATD website. So according to our latest research, which the data was collected at the end of 2023, but the report is published at this year in May. The current use, so it's very similar to what we see here. About majority of companies have already started using AI some way. About 50%, 58% said they currently begin to explore or experiment, and some small percentage already have, as a pioneer, already have a strategy and allocate a resource to AI. And when we're asking them, what's your prediction of using AI in next 12 months, 24 months? And definitely we see the trends of like more than 75% companies saying that they're going to use it. And only 25% don't use it, don't plan to use AI. And keep in mind, this data is collecting at the end of 2023. So I think if we go back, which we did, I think this number will definitely go up. The organization are planning to use it. It doesn't planning to use AI. I think this number will definitely go up. I do remember, the first year when 2022, when we are designing the survey question. At that time, a lot of people still really don't know about what AI is. And one of our things, we have to define what AI is and give people some examples. And actually, a lot of people has been using AI in their daily life, but they don't know it is AI enabled. But nowadays, I think with more information and the quick development, especially like ChatGPT, I think there's the understanding of AI is much better and the usage is also much better. So take a look at how AI can improve TD industries specifically. On top, the top area where people see that AI that help talent development is personalized learning experiences. And this is where we see across the board and has been mentioned in the most areas. Back to, take a look at learning itself. So everybody come in with their own experience. We have our own learning preferences or our own goals we want to achieve. Back to old days, ancient days, right? There is a mentor, maybe having one mentee and a couple of students. And then it's really, when we're growing to the modern industry, that to be efficient, to be more scalable, then we have like this big class and everybody learning from the same platform. But if you're looking at a deeper adult learning, is each of us learning is actually, is individualized. We have our own preference, we have our own goal to achieve. So using AI technology, that AI can analyze each individual's, your background, your skills, and with your goals you put in, can creating the tailored learning experience. That could be learning content, that could be a quiz that's really based on your progress. That can be a curated content. That's number 3 is the content curation. That all those can be used to enable you to have your more personalized learning. And I see a lot of use is personalized AI usage is in using AI for executive coaching, because they can give you more, it's much more affordable to have individuals having, executive coaching using AI enabled rather than spend a huge amount of money to hire executive coach. I see the practice that the AI enabled sales training, right? So the salespeople can practice in front of the AI application, and the AI will give them the feedback on how they're talking about and how their hand gesture, how their face, and all those. One practice, for example, at ATD, in the past, at ATD International Conference, we used to spend a lot of money hire a professional translation company to do simultaneous interpretation. And we can only afford to do a couple languages because of the cost. And now we're using AI-enabled translation. And that is just covered all the sessions. We have over 300 sessions, and that providing a lot of languages at a very minimum cost. So that is one thing like we have been implementing at ATD conference across the board. And that has been fundamentally changed how we serve how we providing the learning experience. So when we're looking at the AI application areas, we see AI has been using in many different kind of trainings. On the top, where we see is onboarding, right, or on orientation. It's not surprising because onboarding has been one of the key areas organization has been spending a lot of money on. And it is also very scalable, right? So when you're having the AI enablement applications, you will be able to identify the new hires, their background, and what's their learning preference, and make this more tailored and efficient for all the learners. And it also can be used on technical training, product training, compliance, and leadership development, right? As I mentioned, this can be used in AI-enabled coaching. We've been seeing a lot of our companies have been using that, and sales enablement. And this is also one of the area we see a lot of interest, because when you're using the AI technology and really help people to have an opportunity to practice their sales skills and improve, and that which link to higher organization performance. So not surprising, right, to see AI has been implementing in many areas. So traditionally, as mentioned, as a training professional, what we have been focusing on is the core area here, right? So what we do is we call ourselves training department or L&D department. What we do is when business have a need and say, okay, you need to train those people. So we design the training material, we deliver training. So that is what training do. And when we're expanding the talent development, the second stage is you are not just focusing on training. Training is one of the solutions, as I mentioned previously, when you're closing the skills gap. Training is only one solution that you're using, and using the full spectrum of talent development approaches, including performance management, change management, talent management, and many extending and foster career development, many of those talent solutions to help to solve the issues of organization, to support organization growth. And the next stage what we see is AI-enabled talent development. Is AI technology being embedded in all your talent selections process, recruiting, onboarding, and training, all those areas. So that's where you see that, where the future, many organizations are already in this stage. So you can also go back to think about where you are in the stage. Are you in the stage 1, the training only? Or are you in the stage 2, integrated talent development solutions? Or are you in the stage 3 that AI has been embedded in your organization? So we talk about a lot about the advantage of using AI technology. So why not everybody started using it? So in our research also show there are some challenges for sure. The top one is budget constraints. And the second one is there's not enough staff with right knowledge to implement AI. And third one is lack of time for staff to learn how to use AI. And there's also lack of time to implement, and there's lack of technology infrastructures. So as you can see here, both, of course, budget constraints, that's always a challenge, right? No matter what new things you want to do, there's always going to be a budget constraint. But number 2 and number 3, that's very important. One of the most important, number 2 and number 2, both talking about people, is the talent development people don't have the right knowledge and don't have the time to learn the right knowledge to help organization to implement it. That's also a good news, right? So because it's hard to change the budget constraint, it's hard to looking at technology infrastructures that's beyond in many cases beyond our control. But there are something in our control. That is how talent development professional can help ourselves to improve our knowledge about AI and help organization to implement it. So that leads me to talk about the third key areas where we see is TD capabilities, talent development capabilities. And now I would like to ask you a quick question. So how many of you start your career in TD field, training or talent development? And how many of you start your career in other field and transition to TD field? Maybe a teacher, maybe a manager, a salesperson, and you transition to the TD field.
Results are coming in now. I have my bets on what we'll find here. I think there's a pretty common thread amongst. All right. I'm hoping I'm seeing responses are coming in. I'm just not seeing the responses themselves. I'm sorry, everyone. This might have to be a go to the chat sort of question, Dr. Wang, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna close the poll. Sorry if everyone's responding, and I'm gonna hit share the poll results just so we can get capture the ones who were there.
Okay.
And heading in there now, I'm seeing. All right. Nigel's saying he's transitioned in. So everyone, if you get a chance, remember A being you started directly into talent development, and B being you came from somewhere else. And feel free to share where you started in TD or what you're coming into TD from. I as an architect, Annie straight into instructional design.
I started as architect. Okay, interesting transition.
So the design phase of ATD for Aya was already just of tip-top importance.
Yeah, business.
Right.
Yeah.
Noura's coming from business development.
Business development. Okay, that's great. So I started my profession in our field because I was born and raised in China. And I had an opportunity to learn about the talent development, training and development at that time. And then I decided but there's no such program in China to teach you how to do training and development or human resource development. And that's where I, decided to come to US and to work on my PhD from Penn State. So I graduated with a PhD degree with human resource development, training and development. So many times when I talk, people say, I have a PhD in training, and people say, oh, do you really need a PhD degree for training? So as you see, many people are really having a different understanding of our field, and many people not necessarily start from our field. And our research also show that, globally, based on our research, we see only 16% of people start their career in talent development, and majority of them, 84%. So many I see attendees here today is also many of them start from other field. So that makes again go back to the original question, right? So there are the body of knowledge for lawyer, there are body of knowledge for doctors. There's a lot of knowledge and assessment, but what is the competency that need for us to work in this field, especially for us to transition, for some people transition from outside the field to this field? How do I know? What do I need to know, or what do I need to do in order to be success in this field? So as the the thought leader of our profession, ATD has been conducting the capability study or competency study since 1978. So every 4 or 5 years, ATD will release a research to show what are the key things, what the capabilities are important in our field. So starting 1978, you can see, this is really reflecting how our profession has been involved. Since the beginning, it's called training and development. And in 1989, we have the name called HRD, Human Resource Development. And then in 1996, the concept of human resource improvement that's been introduced. In 1998, the technology concept already been talked about, right? And then 1999, we talk about workplace learning and performance, and the training and development profession. And in 2020, it is where we release our latest research called ATD Capability for Talent Development. So this is the talent development capability model. We released this right before the pandemic. And as we're looking at this today, it's still very relevant because this model is really meant to be forward thinking and future oriented. In this research, we show that the capability will divide it into 3 areas, including building personal capabilities, developing professional capabilities, and impacting organization capabilities. Out of those 3 areas, there are totally about 23 capabilities and over 188 knowledge and skills that need to go into this. You probably can see better in this table. I listed all of them here. So I wanted to ask you just to share that in the chat. Which one, just to maybe give me 1 or 2, which one do you think are most important capability for you or for your organization as of today? Just to send in the chat box, which one do you think are most important? You can pick from any of those categories: personal, professional, organization.
So Dr. Wang, we're looking at in our context, right? This is where we find ourselves. Okay. Are we seeing some answers? Professional coming in. I've got business insight, instructional design. I wrote lifelong learning from Katrina. Organizational capacity.
Organization. Okay. Yeah. So big category is organizational. Okay. And you can also pick the individual ones under each of the category.
We're getting, let's see. I think for evaluating impact for me is a big one. I'll just put that out there.
Evaluating impact. Okay.
I don't often get to do it, but that's what I would like to be doing. Annie says communication.
Communication. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So those are really good selections. As you can see here, Personal capability is more focused on individual soft skills. Remember what we talked about previously? The soft skill is one of the areas that organization been lacking. And to our LD professional, that's also an area that's really important, right? Communication, especially emotional intelligence, decision making, collaboration, and leadership, right? So those are some of the areas like project management. I think some of the courses that we are working with LEORON to offering to the region, right? So the second area is a professional capability. So this is the traditional when we see, oh, those are the skills we need to develop, like learning science, instructional design, training deliveries, technical applications, knowledge management, career development, evaluation. The third area, I see some people mentioned about organization capability being important, which is really exactly. So this is also the area we had the most updates since our previous models, because we see when you are changing from a order taker to a business partner, this is the most important capabilities that will show the difference. That means you have a good business insight. You have, you know how to be a good consulting business partner. You understand how to conduct organization development and improve the culture, talent strategy, performance improvement, change management, and data analytics and future readiness. So based on our research, what are the most top 5 important capabilities? In 2019, when we conducted the research, the top areas are communication and lifelong learning, which is great, right? So congratulations to everybody who tune in this hour to spend time to learn, to commit to your own learning. So instructional design, training deliveries and facilitation, emotional intelligence, decision making. Right? Those are the top 5 areas in 2019 when we do the survey to see what are the most important for our field. In 2021, right in the middle of the pandemic, we launched this research again. So let's see what are the top 5. Communication, technology application. Why technology becomes suddenly so important? Because people was forced to tune in a lot of our training into online learning and using all the technology enablement and enable the solutions, right, to help us to continue our talent development. Again, emotional intelligence, decision making are very important, and cultural awareness, inclusion, DEI, that's becoming really critical at that moment, and change management. Many learning professionals being put on the change agent position at that time. You know, we have to help people do onboarding, help them to transition from working from home, working in the office to working from home, and then coming back to the office, or maintain a blended learning approach or working approach. So 2024, we just released another latest research on what are the most important capabilities. Communication stay on number 1. So this is really just show like how important is communication for our profession, no matter in the past or now, and with technology with us, is always really important on the top 1. Technology application, not surprising, right? We have, this is still maintained really important. Emotional intelligence and decision making. And this is, you know, it has been show up on each of the year, right? Move up from 2019, 2021 to 2024. This is also really important because we're facing a more complicated environment, right? We really need to having, and it's also, again, many people maybe work from home and distantly, and then you really have a really good emotional intelligence to understand people and understand, having the sympathy and understand people, and also making decisions in the complicated scenarios. And the fourth one is collaboration leadership. This is also consistent with, you know, our roles changing from just order take up to be taking the more important roles, like we're becoming change management become more important, and we're being put a more front role leading organization change. We need to collaborate with a different department, different users. And the last one, the top 5 is not surprisingly is future readiness. with AI in our mind, is AI going to replace human being? Is it how AI is going to help us? How AI is going to impact our work and our organization? And how the other technology and all the economy and political environment is going to changing our profession? How we can get ready for the future? How we can prepare ourselves for the future? And so the future readiness jumped to the top 5 and in our research. So those are the top areas where we consider as the most important. So as a profession, how we are doing with those areas? Are we really capable in those areas, or are we less confident in those areas? So on ATD website, we have a free assessment tool that called self-assessment tool. I have the link at the end of my at the end of my presentation. So over 30,000 TD professionals from more than 150 countries has been taking this assessment. So let's see what are the areas people feel most confident. So the top 5 areas are lifelong learning, which is great. Our learning professionals love to learn, which we love it, right? So we spend time to learn ourselves. It's very important. And we're really good at training, delivery, and facilitation, because that's our core bread and butter, right? We've been doing this all the time. And we're really good at communication, which is great. And we talk about communication is really important for our profession. And we are people who are really compassionate, and we are good at emotional intelligence and decision making. And we are aware of different cultures and very caring about people. So that's why, you look at the profile, right? So when the people coming to, when you organize a conference for the talent development professionals, where a bunch of people love to learn, like people, really good at facilitation and really good at communication, right? So the ATD conference is always fun, engaging. We're expecting to see the similar thing in our upcoming Saudi conference. So what are areas that we're less confident? Not surprisingly, career and leadership development, technology application, talent strategy and management, and change management, and data and analytics, right? So if you are feeling, those areas are not your strengths, or maybe some area that you need to improve, you are not alone. As collectively as a profession, those are the areas that we are lacking. So if we put the most important and the least confident, those two lists together, what are in common? I'm going to give you a minute to read through the list and then call and send it in the chat if you find out the common theme. What are the in common? The ones that most important and the least confident. Do we see any chat coming?
God's technology is an application there from Aya, from Ira, and from Katrina.
Thank you. Just testing to see whether you are actively reading. Yes, so technology application, certainly. So through, let's go back to the key trends we're looking at. Technology is one of the areas as total workforce is one area we're lacking. And then it's also the most important area that impacting our profession and impacting our training practice. It is also one of area our profession, us, has been lacking. For example, myself, I was just taking one of the ATD's latest AI in talent development workshop, because I feel, this is so important, and I myself need to improve in this area as well. So when we're looking at those most important and bottom 5, we need to, definitely being more clear than ever to see with technology application, and also other areas where if you wanted to make the change in your organization, you really need to focus on those collaboration, leadership, communication, and change management, those areas. So how should our LD people, talent development people, develop ourselves? And, again, there's been a lot of people and me asking that question. So certainly you can take 1 or 2 training courses here and there, But if you're picking a doctor, will you pick a doctor who just taking some certificate programs on how to cut people, how to solve, those individual courses? No, you wanted to have somebody have systematically trained. So that is, what ATD is really good at, the framework, right? So we really encourage you to leverage a framework to build your path. If you are serious about developing your career in this profession, if you are serious about becoming a truly business partner, that you wanted to leverage framework to build your path. You can start from here, and there are definitely some training courses, but you want to have a framework help you to know where you're heading and where your skills gap are. And another one is have strategic conversations with your boss. One of the common mistake where I see by talking to L&D professionals from around the world is they're afraid of investing in themselves. They're spending a lot of money on leadership training, on coaching for the leaders, for the sales team, for onboarding. But when the time comes to see, can I spend some money or should I spend some time to develop myself? They're very shy about it. Or they think, oh, I don't need it. It's like a doctor don't need to go to see a doctor. And that is definitely a big mistake. And also, so having that conversation, it is really important for us to invest in ourselves, and having that conversation with your boss, initiate that and building that into your plan. And also, not just looking internally, right? Looking at outside. Again, I'm very happy that you tune in to join this webinar, because it's always good to hear what's happening around the world and help you to benchmark your organization. And then another one is committed to your learning. For example, at ATD, each of the employee can have 40 hours as a learning hour. You can learn anything you like each year. You can learn gardening, cooking, languages, anything. So I'm very committed, so we encourage employee to commit to your own learning. So talking about the framework, so this is the, maybe we can also post this on the chat. This is a link to our website. This is the free assessment tool. I definitely encourage all the L&D professionals to take the opportunity to go into this, learn more about the framework, and also do your own assessment. So there is a Chinese proverb I wanted to share with you today before we closing this. So the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. If you haven't started your learning, I hope that you will start today, because we can only develop others if we develop ourselves first. So ATD is that resource. I hope that we can be the resource for you in your developing journey. And I hope to connect with you, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or send an email. And we hope that ATD can be that great resource for your ongoing journey. Thank you.